Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live this morning. And good to have you on with us this morning. And let me know that you can hear me and see me, and good to have you. Always is. Okay, so Nativity, how are you this morning? And Lisa, Diane, good to have you on this morning with us, and Juliet, and Andrea watching from New Brunswick, and Mandy, and Nick is on with us. Good morning. I changed the title a little bit, and Kathy, Jerry, Diane, and Julie, how are you? I changed the title a little bit this morning because, the last we were talking about metabolic syndrome. I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to sort of hit one topic of that this morning, and that's about snacking. Bernice, good morning. Lee, how are you? Nellie, how are you? And Maureen, okay, let me just say hi to a few people I missed. Monica, okay, Olga, and Lise, and Linda. Keith, how are you? And Angelina. Okay, so I missed a few people, but always good. Always good. Dwayne, Jeanette, Diane, Faye. I hate to miss people. Okay, Lodi. Okay, from Lodi. Hold on, who was that? Deborah. In Lodi, California. Lodi. Or Lodi. Lodi? Okay, Lodi, California. Deborah, how are you? Thanks for coming on this morning. It's got to be early there. What is it? 3 hours. 5:30 in the morning. My word. Okay, you know, Elizabeth. Okay, everything's loud and clear. Good. Okay, so let's talk about something. It has to do with metabolic syndrome. It was one thing that I had, if you see my list on our private Facebook group, it was one of I think it was number 6 on that list. If you want to get rid of metabolic syndrome, which is it's food. It's food. Okay? So you can't get metabolic syndrome without food. So every time you eat, you better choose the right things, okay? So I would just got an email yesterday from a clinical psychologist in the United States, and let me just see. Her name was Dr. Angie McEwen, and thank you very much, Angie, for sending me an email yesterday about the new dietary guidelines that have come out. And it's the United States Department of Agriculture and Health and Human Services that finished a report on 2020 dietary guidelines. And I read their guidelines, and it's too bad, really it's too bad that people don't get it. They don't get it. And I think I've made my case over the years to you, and, I will continue to emphasize that the problem in a lot of ways is people are still, it's like if you go to, well, good luck going to a mall. But I used to use this story, so I'm going to use it again. If you go to a mall and you sit in a food court, okay, and you watch people, and if you saw a guy coming by, and I've seen this, and this is why I'm commenting on it. He's got long sideburns, dyed black hair, and bell bottoms on. You go, you know what? Elvis died in 1976. Like, what are you doing? And, even up to a few years ago, right? Like, people would go down to Nashville or whatever, and they visit. And listen, I loved Elvis too, okay? So that was my era, okay? And if you talk to my grandchildren, they don't even know what I'm talking about when I talk about Elvis. But there are a lot of people that live in the past and they love their Elvis and this and that, and that's all right. But you know what's happening in nutrition? People live like it's 50 years ago. And their biggest thing, okay, in the guidelines, and they really haven't changed this, is moderation. You need a balanced diet and moderation. And we live in a different world. And, you know, I've said this to you before and I'll say it again. Like if you and I left in the 1970s, just left the planet, you know, somehow we take a spaceship and we'd gone to Mars or whatever. And if we came back today in 2020, we would be shocked. We would be shocked by, in North America, by the size of people. True or false? We'd be shocked. Watch people today. We're huge compared to what we used to be. What happened? It's almost like science, so-called nutrition experts, it's almost like they're not making any observations. I mean, just, you know, a 5-year-old, if you explain to them, they'll understand this. I don't get it. I get it, but what I mean by that is, it's so obvious. It's sitting right in front of us. The answer's there. But it's almost like everybody's in denial. And we live in a world, and I've emphasized this to you so many times, that we don't live in the same world. It's not balanced. We live in an unbalanced nutritional quagmire. Because people live on carbohydrates. And, you know, protein is a boogeyman. Don't eat too much or you're going to destroy your kidneys. I mean, that's still out there today. And don't eat fat, because fat makes you fat and fat will give you cholesterol. And it's not true. But even today in these guidelines that are going to influence are already very sick, and I mean sick, not mentally, but sick physically society, where only 12% of the population are metabolically healthy. My word. But it's these guidelines by so-called scientists are leading us astray. Balanced diet. Don't eat they don't agree with a low carb diet. They want a balanced diet. And yet everything has changed. We've worn out our pancreases. I've talked to you this week over and over and over and over again about what we're doing to our livers. The parking lot at Costco, the suitcase, we're destroying them. We're destroying our livers. Young kids, they got fatty liver and they don't know it. And we filled the suitcase and we filled the parking lot. And that sugar that we're eating is stored as fat. And that's why we're so big. It's crazy. And they want to, you know, like I read to you, 50% of the population are diabetic or pre. 50% of the population have high blood pressure. 50% of the population are obese. And yet, they're not changing their tune. And I'm very thankful for you folks that join me in resisting this. I'm going to send them a letter. That's what Dr. McEwen has asked me to do, to join her and others, to send them a letter. You know, I don't know if it's going to help, but I'm certainly more than willing to do it. Willing to do it. And folks, even if you guys are like John the Baptist screaming in the wilderness, continue to do it. You might not be able to change the world, and you can bring a horse to water. You might not be able to make it drink, but you can put some salt in the water, so to speak. And lead by example, guys. Lead by example. Because health is important, isn't it? So we've been talking about this all week, really, metabolic syndrome, and now we're going to talk about don't snack. Don't snack if you can help it. Okay? You know, remember what insulin is, okay? So I just need to emphasize this. Insulin is a storage hormone. It does everything it can to, when you eat a carbohydrate, it's going to take the carbohydrate, which is turned to sugar rapidly, and store it. Unless you use it right away as energy. Your body's producing energy. Let's follow a piece of bread. You have a piece of bread. You know, instead of bacon and eggs, you're having a piece of bread. Even with peanut butter. I love peanut butter, by the way. Vitamin P on the Martin Clinic. Why is it a vitamin? Because I like it. That's all. The only reason it's there, because I like it. And there's no, it's a low carb food, right? Now, I'm talking about natural peanut butter because I just want to tell you something. There's a difference. There's a difference between, because if you look at the label, they're almost identical in terms of its the amount of sugar. So if you see natural peanut butter in a tablespoon, you're going to have 1 gram of sugar. Now that's not added sugar. That's not added sugar. But it is peanuts have very little carbs, but they have sugars. It's one of the reasons that on the reset, I don't let you have peanuts. There's other reasons for lectins and things like that. But naturally, it's like yogurt. There's sugar in there, even if it's Greek plain. It's natural sugar that's in the yogurt. It's in the peanut butter. But the difference, okay, and I'm sidetracked just for a second, but I want to tell you the difference because people have asked me this. Well, Dr. Martin, you like peanut butter. Yes, I do. I put my hand up and tell you I do. I love coffee and peanut butter. When I'm fasting without fasting. No, but I like peanut butter, okay? So that vitamin P on my alphabet, the Martin Clinic alphabet, but it's only there because I like it. But if you have, let's say, Kraft peanut butter. Now, they make a natural one, but I don't know, you name me the peanut butter. Look on the label because this is very important. Don't look at just the sugars because one will have natural sugar and in a tablespoon. The other one will have maybe 1 more gram of sugar. But you see, what I'm saying is the added sugar, because what they use is high fructose corn syrup and in their icing sugar. That's how they make They add it to the peanut butter. What does that do? Even though if you look at the label, and I want you to look at labels, I want you to study labels, and good for you. You know, because people have asked me this question, very good question. Well, Doc, you got 1 gram and a tablespoon of peanut butter. In your natural peanut butter, no sugar added, you got 1 gram of sugar. And in the ordinary peanut butter, you have 1 gram of sugar. So I like the other one. No, it's a big difference. And let me tell you why. Because that added sugar in the other one, even though it's not a huge amount in comparison to 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, it elevates your insulin. Where the natural peanut butter, you hardly need any insulin at all. Your pancreas is not doing anything. That's the difference. It's the response of insulin. So let me come back to that. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its job is to take sugar and store it. That's its major job. Stores it in the cells, and when your cells are full, they say, nah, get away from me. They store sugar as fat in your liver, in your muscles, and when you run out of real estate, insulin will start making more and more and more fat cells. And for a lot of people, that's belly fat, but even skinny people, it fills up their liver, and even around the liver with visceral fat. Oh, I'm skinny, doc. That doesn't mean you're healthy. If you cannot get away from eating bad foods. You won't get away with it. You might think you are. Oh, I'm not obese. I don't care. If you're a bad eater, you're in doo-doo. And you don't even realize it because you might not have any symptoms. You can be skinny, though, and have high blood pressure, and they go, Doc, I got high blood pressure. How come? I got acid reflux. How come? Because your insulin is high. And you probably have bad visceral fat around your organs, and you don't even know it. So the theme today, one of the ways you can get rid of metabolic syndrome is to stop snacking. And if you do snack, I want to give you a tip today on what to do. But a lot of people, because this has been drummed into us by, guess by who? The food industry. And they own the dietary guidelines in the United States and Canada. They have a lot of influence. They're huge corporations. And God bless them. They do some good things. I know that. You know, but like I was saying to you, you go up those middle aisles of your grocery stores. They want you snacking. They're in business. They have people who are taste experts and crunch experts. Oh, I'm just going to have a little bowl of Doritos. It's the crunch. They're not stupid. So you're snacking. The problem with snacking, if you understand how insulin works, you got to get this because this is very important in physiology. So let me show you something, and I'm just going to take out a piece of paper, and hopefully, can you see this? Okay. I can't draw. I flunked art. Okay? But I'm just going to do this. You might have seen this before. Okay? You see those 3 numbers there? Oh, they might be upside down on you, right? Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter. I shouldn't write numbers when I got to do this live. But I want to show you. Let's say you eat at 8 o'clock. You just ate. And hopefully you had bacon and eggs and sausage. that you didn't have what we called last week. You didn't have dessert for breakfast, because most North Americans have dessert for breakfast. I hope you didn't drink anything sweet, because that's the worst. You want to secrete an enormous amount of insulin? Then drink your sugar. When you see a kid with apple juice, the number one breakfast drink, the number one fruit that sells in North America, you know what it is? Orange juice. Not eating oranges, orange juice. Folks, you might as well have 2 Pepsis. No difference. As far as your pancreas goes, there's no difference. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's Tropicana. I don't care. You got 40, 50 grams of sugar, 10, 12 teaspoons of sugar in Tropicana with fiber. You're just drinking sugar. It goes right to your liver, 100%. What? And stored in your liver as fat. And no wonder kids. But they're not telling you this in the dietary guidelines. They're not telling you not to drink orange juice, but they should. So what I'm saying is, when you eat at 8 o'clock, and let's say you had some dessert for breakfast, like you had a muffin or a bagel, your insulin, the line, you started at 8, and insulin is going to keep going and going till 10 o'clock, at least a couple of hours. Now, you stopped eating at, let's say, 8:15, but your pancreas is still working. And the suitcase, your liver, is working. You don't see it, but it's working. It's got to take that sugar out of your bloodstream and store it. So you got insulin, and then you eat again at 10 o'clock. Well, one of the problems with insulin, well, there's a couple of problems, but one of them is it elevates your blood sugar because you ate. What goes up must come down. Your sugars come down. It's normal. But you're hungry again at 10 o'clock. And maybe it's just a habit. You're at work and you have a snack at 10 o'clock with everybody else. Well, now, guess what? Your insulin's working again. It didn't really stop. And then you start it up again. And it's still working. As insulin is working, your cells have to respond to insulin. You know what insulin resistance is? Your cells are saying, hey, insulin, get the H out of here. I'm tired of you. You're around me all the time. Okay. Get lost. The problem is insulin can't get lost. It needs to work. It has a job to do. And if your cells say, insulin, get out of here, you know what and so they're resisting insulin. You know what insulin does? The pancreas will just secrete more and more and more because your body is so highly tuned. It can't allow sugar in the bloodstream. It must store it. And it gets stored as what? Fat. And as long as you have insulin, you have that line of insulin going on all day because you're snacking. You have to understand that. As long as you have insulin present, it is impossible to lose fat because your body's storing it. And insulin is the jail guard that won't let fat escape. That is so important you understand that. This is why we talk about, if you've ever done our courses on metabolic syndrome or whatever, what we talk about is lowering your eating window. And people say, well, Doc, I ate at 8 o'clock. And I didn't eat till 10 o'clock, but I just had a little, doesn't matter. You're secreting insulin. And if you lower that eating window, it's going to help. If you can, stop snacking because you think it's healthy, but it's not. It is not healthy. Now, one of the biggest reasons, like I said, insulin makes you hungry because it spikes your blood sugar. It takes it out and stores it, and what goes up must come down. Now you're hungry again. And your body wants to be, you think you're, if you give your body the wrong fuel, this is why I love my illustration of the wood stove, right? The wood stove. So pretend for a minute you operate like a wood stove. Well, when you have a crappy dessert like breakfast with orange juice and maybe cereal or yogurt, fruit, ladies, I love you. Remember that. You know, your fruit yogurt, oh, Dr. Martin, it's, Activia. I don't care, It's bad for you, Oh, anyway. But you must lower your insulin, and then you're storing fat. Fat cannot escape. Your blood sugars are fluctuating. We often call this hypoglycemia. You add stress, and that'll make see what cortisol does. Cortisol elevates your blood sugar. It has to. It's getting you ready for the fight or flight. You're all uptight. Maybe you got a terrible boss or something. Your cortisol goes up. Guess what that does? Elevates your blood sugar. And again, what did I say? What goes up must come down. Then your blood sugar comes down. So now you're hungry because you're stressed. And you want to eat again. And then you snack. And you're secreting even more insulin. And it's a vicious cycle. We eat way too much, our society. And the food industry, remember what I've said to you so many times. The food industry are experts, like the tobacco industry was. The tobacco industry, you think they were stupid? They weren't stupid. They got caught. But here's what they got caught with. They knew that nicotine was very addictive, and they lied about it. They lied and people died. But they were in the business of addicting people. Guys, what do you think the food industry is into? They're in the business. They have addiction experts on staff. And some of them even have PhDs after their names. And they're not after you as much. Now, I say that because when you want to change something, you go after kids. So I watched them do it. I was screaming blue murder. cereal. Tony the Tiger. Their Frosted Flakes are great. Even today, they put a heart on the box of cereals because they buy the American Heart Association or the cardiologist. They buy them out. They don't know nutrition, so they listen to a PhD that says, oh, a little bit. Frosted Flakes are really great, And so are Cheerios. And so are Cocoa Puffs. Stink. You talk about bad science. Man. But they get away with it. And they're taking over the dietary guidelines. They're going to, you know what the dietary guidelines are? Oh, yeah, cut back on a little bit of sugar. Yeah, we agree with that. But don't cut it out. And don't eat too much steak, because Dr. Martin is a quack. Don't have hamburger. Once a week, maybe. Don't eat that stuff. It's not good for you, according to them. And the proof in the pudding, guys, is this. I rest my case. Are we healthier today? Are we healthier today? Man, there's never been a society as sick as we are in North America. There's never been in our history the amount of obesity and diabetes and Alzheimer's and cancer and heart disease and stroke like today. We're not winning the battle. We're not even close to winning the battle. We're losing the battle big time. But they don't tell you that. Because they don't equate food. I mean, guys, think of how basic this is. They're not equating heart disease with food. And when they do, it's not true. It's upside down. Oh, it's fat that's making your heart bad. It's fat that gives you cholesterol. And even today, they're still pumping out the lies from the addiction people who influence these committees. The addiction people. So if you can, stop smoking. No, stop snacking. It's the same, by the way. Snacking and smoking are bad. I mean it. Okay, now, Doc, give me an alternative. Okay. If you must snack, then can I suggest something? Make it pure protein and fat. So if you're going to snack, bring yourself, if you got to work and you need a snack at 10 o'clock, have an egg. Have a hard-boiled egg or have deviled eggs. Bring some sliced meat and have a slice while you watch your friends eating a granola bar, which is pure, unadulterated crap that makes your pancreas go insane. A granola bar. You send your kids to school with a granola bar. Well, you might as well give them the real chocolate bar. What's the difference? Your pancreas doesn't know the difference. It doesn't. Oh, Doc, it's got honey in it. I don't care. It's sugar. And your insulin's going to go crazy. And you're never giving that pancreas a rest with the frequent snacking. So if you're going to have a snack, and try not to snack at night. That's the worst time. Try not to snack at night. This is why I love the reset, because you know what it does? It allows you to snack if you have to. But most of the people, you know what they're finding? That after a week of eating eggs, meat, and cheese, that they don't need to snack. Their cravings are going away. And they're gone. Because now you've fixed your insulin. And, you know, somebody actually suggested that I name my book, you know, it's not official yet, you know, the diet that your doctor won't share with you. And I think that's going to be the title of it. Just about finished, by the way. I mean it. We're just at the end now. We just got to tidy it up and do a few little things, and then it's off to the publisher, okay? So I'm excited about that. But one of the things, and actually it's a title in one of the chapters when I introduce the reset diet. The first part of the book is I explain all of this stuff first. Like I just talk to you about what the problem is. And then I tell you like why it's just destroying our society and our economies and all that. Like, guys, it's craziness. And because it was written during COVID, I even talk about COVID and metabolic syndrome. The whole world is missing it. They just miss it. They missed it. They missed the whole lesson that we should have learned with this, but we missed it. You didn't miss it. You're smart. But the world missed it. And they won't learn the lesson. They won't learn the lessons that needed to be learned about your immune system and how food has a huge impact on that. And the underlying condition, though, they missed it. They didn't talk about it. They just wanted to talk about that virus. Virus. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Wash your hands and social distancing, all that. No talk about that immune system of yours. So folks, you want to do yourself a favor? Stop snacking. But if you're going to snack, protein is king. Eggs, meat, and cheese. Protein is king. Why? Because it's fasting without fasting. When you're eating eggs, meat, and cheese, you don't need insulin. Your pancreas is on a holiday. It's in Hawaii. You're fasting without fasting. Now, if you can do intermittent fasting, even better. Metabolically, it's even better for you. You do it with the reset, and we like intermittent fasting. I write about it in my book. I talk to you about it. But you really are fasting. If you had bacon and eggs this morning, your pancreas is on the sideline. It's not doing much. It's not going crazy. It's actually relaxing. It's ingenious. Because you need your pancreas to relax if you want to save your liver. You want to get your triglycerides down. You want to elevate your HDL. You want to lower your inflammation. That silent killer. But remember, inflammation is not Houdini. It's not Houdini. Inflammation comes when you use that insulin too much and you're snacking. And that's a big, big issue in our society today. And remember, a lot of people are snacking. First of all, one of the reasons they snack is because they use too much insulin. And insulin, the more you use it, the more you will be hungry, because what goes up, what comes down. And then you add stress to the mix. You add cortisol to the mix. the adrenals. And this is why people that have adrenal exhaustion also suffer from hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. And they got to change their diet like everyone else. You have chronic fatigue syndrome. You have hypoglycemia. You got to change your diet, man. It's the same thing as diabetes. One is high sugar and the other one is low sugar, but it's caused by eating crappy carbohydrates. And when you don't feel good and you're exhausted, you'll get a quick fix any way you can. So you're going to have a Pepsi or a Coke, or you're going to have a granola bar, and you're going to have all these crappy stinking foods. And, you might have cereal before you go to bed at night. Ew. Anyway. Okay, I passed our time. Tomorrow is question and answer Friday. So send in your questions, okay? And if you have any comments, love to hear from you. I mean it. Even if they're negative. Okay? I know I spout off, but anyways, I'm so passionate about it. I can't stand it. But I love doing this, guys. I do. I enjoy this, and I don't take for granted that you give me your time in the day. I don't take that for granted at all. I appreciate it big time. Okay? So, if you got any questions, send them in. I'll try and answer them tomorrow. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.